So 2018 only brought us one DCEU movie, so they kind of took a break a little bit, kind of like what Marvel's doing this year. The next one on the list came out in 2019. I think 2019 only had one too. Oh, hold on. Yeah. 2019 did only have one, and that was Shazam, directed by David S. Sandberg and starring everybody's favorite guy, Zachary Levi.
Listen, I really like the first Shazam
I
movie.
do too. I think it's great. And Pat, only you and I will understand this. But how did it feel to see our favorite abusive father back?
Listen, I love
Also a
me some John
corporate
Glover.
asshole.
Yeah, he's just Lionel Luthor, and it's great.
Yeah.
Um, no, I mean, I really like the first Shazam. Unlike a lot of these movies we've talked about, there really was a lot of heart to Shazam,
Yeah. I
and
agree.
there was a lot of strong emotions, and like it just really had more of to care about than so many of these movies. The characters you really cared about, and the it was magical, it was
Yeah.
funny, it was action packed, it was good.
It is stereotypical Mark Strong villain, but
Sure.
yeah. But it was fun. Like this is the one that felt mythical to me.
Hmm.
Yeah. And like the vibe, like I feel like this is the vibe that like Aquaman kind of set up. Like that I feel like later movies just were like, okay, we're trying to capture, and they were like, oh no, we got to do more of that, and they just kind of fell flat on their face doing it. Yeah, like I really like this movie. I remember sitting in the theater, I was like, this is pretty freaking cool. It does feel a little long though. I think that's my problem with it. Like it feels a lot longer than it actually is, and it's only like 2 hours. But it does feel long sometimes. I think there's some pacing issues in there, but overall, I think Shazam's really fun.
Oh yeah, I think it's a good movie. Like I just think that there's no more emotionally impactful scene in the DCU than when he finds his mom.
Exactly.
I
Yep.
think that was like such a
I,
gut
and I
punch.
love and I love that that's the crux of the movie too. And then like you see the flashback of it, and it's like, oh, that's sad.
Yeah, and I loved the family. I loved all the other kids. I loved all
Oh,
like
all the other kids are great.
it was just great. And it but it feels like whatever they did right in this one, and we'll get to it later, whatever they did right,
They
they
just do
forgot
wrong.
about.
Yeah. Yeah, they just do wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know if they forgot about it, but I think Zachary Levi forgot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just
Yeah.
but the first one is legitimately, I think, really good. I wish DC, I wish it was more like this.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
feels like straight up like from the comics.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was cool. Yeah, it was cool. And like I enjoyed seeing headless Superman at the end.
Yeah.
No, I think the family dynamic's awesome. I think him trying to find his mother is great. I think him and Freddie. I always forget if his name's Freddie because his name's Freddie Freeman, and I just think of the baseball player Freddie Freeman. But yeah, I think the stuff with him and Freddie is awesome too. And like when he first transforms and he's trying to figure out all his powers, like there's some actual good humor there, like where he's going by everybody, he's like, your phone's charged, your phone's charged. He's like zapping all their phones. That like shit, like this movie got it, you know?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And Zachary Levi did well in this movie to capture that kind of kid in
Yeah.
an adult body. But by the time the sequel came around, that magic was kind of gone.
Yeah, exactly. It might be my favorite of the DC extended universe. It's top 3 for sure. Um, Up next, released in February of 2020, right as the world went to shit. We have Birds of Prey, or if you want to refer to it as its annoyingly long title, Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn.
Yeah. I like
Uh,
this.
I like it too. I think it's fun. Like, I mean, the plot's kind of like whatever, but
Yeah, it's
uh,
very stylized. It's very like
yeah,
kind of like a proto like Guy Ritchie attempt type of thing,
yeah.
but it's fun. I think the
It's very
characters are.
inspired by Snatch for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
It's a fun movie. It was an entertaining watch. I was never bored. I
This was
liked.
like this was like an experiment to see if they could do like R-rated comic book movies.
Yeah, I liked Margot Robbie still as Harley. I liked Ewan McGregor as Black
Oh,
Mask.
he
Like,
steals the whole show.
yeah,
Oh,
it was.
is that a snot? Oh, cut it off.
It was a fun movie. I really liked, and I wasn't like super endeared to like the whole team by the end, but like the movie itself, I thought was
Yeah.
really
Yeah, I love, like I don't think I was endeared to the whole team at the end, but I do like the team up and just, like, the shenanigans they have in the fun house at the end. I
yeah, yeah.
I think that's actually really fun.
It
Um,
has that great sequence with
M
wait,
Ma
does it?
Mary Elizabeth Winstead?
Well, now no, I'm thinking I get so confused with some of these movies sometimes.
I know.
Which does this one have the scene where Harley goes into the police station with the beanbag gun?
Yes.
Okay, that's a great scene.
Yeah, yeah, that's an amazing scene. I for a
I
minute
couldn't remember if it was this or Suicide Squad,
I
like the
for well,
next
for a
one.
minute, I thought you were gonna say the scene with the javelin.
Yeah, which is that the Suicide Squad?
That's the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know, it's kinda, like, interchangeable, yeah.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Wait."
Yeah, the beanbag stuff, like, that's fun, like, this was, like, the period for me where DC was like, "Okay, like, we understand we have to make these fun."
Mhm.
Yeah, and this movie was a lot of fun. Like, I've got issues with it. Like, I don't really like the kid that plays, Cassandra Cain.
Yeah, yeah,
I think the plot's kinda stupid. Like you said, it's
sure.
kind of inspired by, like, a Guy Ritchie-ish plot. Snatch did it better, just saying. Um, so I was just like the whole time I was just like, "Oh, that's all I want is a little diamond thing," but I was just more, like, entertained by the action, the characters, like, their eccentricities, like, the fact that Harley Quinn, like, is living with a hyena, you know? And, like, I cared more about a stinking breakfast sandwich than I do about fucking Superman in this universe,
Right?
which is crazy, you know? Which is crazy. The other one that was released in 2020, Wonder Woman 1984.
Okay, I have
I'll let you go first.
the only fond memory I have of this movie is that because it was COVID and, like, theaters were, like, not doing big public showings, you had the option to, like, rent out the theater and have your own private screening,
And that's what you
and so my friends and I did that. I think it was for my birthday. I think it was, like, tickets that I got, like, Casey set up for my birthday.
Oh, nice.
Um, but yeah, we watched,
Wish it was a better movie.
yeah, and, like, that the experience of getting, like, the joy of being back in the theater to see a movie was, like,
I think
everything.
that okay, I'll admit, I think honestly, because I did see it in the theater. I saw it a couple weeks before it was supposed to come out, before they shut because the theaters were open. They were shut down from, like, March to, like, August,
Yeah,
and then from August to December, they were open. But then they shut down again. So I saw it right before they shut down again. And maybe that's why I kind of liked it the first time because I was just like, oh, I could finally watch like a superhero movie in
I
a
remember
theater.
we were all excited to be in the theater,
Yeah.
and then the second we were walking
Because
out of the
sometimes
theater.
stuff like that like boosts up my enjoyment of a movie. And then
Sure,
I
yeah.
remember rewatching it and I was like, this sucks.
We left the theater and we all went, "That was a weird movie.
It's a
That was
very
not
strange
good.
it's a very
That was not
strange
good."
movie for sure. It
Yeah.
is wicked strange.
Yeah, I like the opening sequence with Kid Diana,
Yep, that's great.
then after that, I hate everything. I think the rest of the movie's garbage.
It's
I
good,
think it's
but it could be
bad
better.
movie.
Could be better.
Yeah, this could be better. Pedro's terrible as the villain. I love Pedro, but man, it's the whole 3rd act is just him going, "Alistair! Alistair!"
I
Like, oh,
forgot
like
about that.
yeah, and then, like,
Well
Cheetah is
dude,
she's good until she turns into Cheetah, and then she's like
I disagree. I think she's horrible throughout the whole thing. I like, the moment they cast Kristen Wiig, I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like, I
um,
knew that was gonna be bad from the get
Che Cheetah looks terrible.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The whole stone plotline with the wishing stone is terrible.
I
The
forgot that
fact
that's actually what it was that it was a wish thing.
the biggest weirdest thing about the movie to me, though, is I can't get over the fact that when you get down to it, when you look at what happens in the film, Wonder Woman sexually assaulted a possessed man. I'm
Yeah,
not even kidding,
I
it's
know, it's
true.
crazy.
Chris
When you
Pine
really think about it, yeah, that's
Chris Pine gets wished back to life by the stone, but his body isn't brought back, he
I don't
possesses it.
get like, I don't get why they just didn't bring him, like,
They
if
should've.
like, back from the dead, like, why did it have to be a body swap?
They didn't. It was just a weird thing, and then it turns out at the end of the movie, well, then you find out that, he's possessing a dude, and then she sleeps with him.
Yeah,
So, a guy who was not in control of his own body
but
sleeps
it's
with
weird, but, like, it's weird too, 'cause from what I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like, she sees Steve Trevor, but, like,
yes.
in the mirror, he's the other guy.
Yes, because she sees Steve Trevor, but nobody else does.
Right,
It's
yeah,
stupid. It's
yeah,
so stupid, and, like, I just hated it. I
and then
hated everything about the
doesn't, Linda Carter pop up at the end too?
yeah, yep. Um, yeah, it was just not a good experience. The movie's really long and boring and,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
not
it's yeah,
interesting.
another 2.5 hour
I
one.
don't know what happened between movies, but Patty Jenkins just lost it, whatever it was. Gal Gadot's even worse than this.
Oh, she's horrible in this
"You
one.
have to give me the stone!"
They give her another soliloquy to say too.
Yeah, I was so done.
I'm like, you took what we disliked about the first one and just boosted it up to 11. Like you doubled down on it.
And they didn't even, like, have fun with, like, the '80s vibes.
No. I
It's
remember
just
that was the big thing. Everybody was like, "Oh, it's gonna be like '80s, like it's gonna be like Stranger Things and
yeah,
Star
'80s is
Wars."
the big thing right now,
Yeah,
so
it's like '80s and Starcore, but instead of the Stranger Things people, it's Wonder Woman. And I'm like, that didn't really matter though.
no,
There's like that kind of like fun-ish sort of action scene in the mall, but that's when the wishbone
yeah.
stones get stolen.
It was all very corny, I remember. It was very, like, cheesy, like,
Yeah.
stuff, and I was like, "I feel like we're beyond this," like, a lot of those moments. I don't know. I
Yeah.
didn't like it. I don't like Wonder Woman '84 at all.
Yeah, it's a weird one. We already talked Zack Snyder's Justice League, but one that I think is really good, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad.
We saw this together.
This is I saw it, yeah. I remember
You had already seen it though, right?
I had already seen it. I remember I had to convince all of you to see it. I'm like, "Yeah," and my way of convincing you guys was, "Yeah, they fight a giant starfish." I remember Andrew going, "That doesn't give me a lot of confidence."
Yeah, yeah, I we all had to be convinced because we were at my bachelor party.
Yeah, it was like
We
a
were o
rainy day.
It was a rainy day in Ocean City,
Yeah.
and we were like, "What are we gonna do?" We saw Suicide Squad, then we went back to the hotel room and we got drunk and played Mario Kart and GoldenEye all day. Um, yes, The Suicide Squad is the best DCEU
I
movie. I
agree.
know that's
That's
some
my
people are
number 1.
probably like, "You know, James Gunn, blah, blah, blah." They're like, "No, James Gunn made a better movie than any of these people made in all this
Yeah.
universe."
Yeah, because
Like,
he
the
understands.
characters
Yeah,
the characters were great. The Suicide Squad concept was done properly.
yeah,
It was fun, it was emotional, it
yeah,
was dark, it was funny, it was
yeah.
just
Oh, dude, it's hilarious.
yeah,
You sneeze, you die. You
like
put
so
your
many of his
license
movies,
plate, you die.
they're so well balanced.
Yeah.
They make you care about the characters, and these are like Guardians of the Galaxy, a lot of these characters are people nobody gave a damn about until this movie.
Yeah,
Like,
Like Peacemaker's
Peacemaker?
own damn show now.
Yeah, like, it's just Rick Flag was improved, Harley Quinn was really good,
Yeah.
like,
Dude, the
it
javelin
was
scene, amazing.
King Shark was fun, like, it was just a good movie, it was just fun.
Man. Dude, the
Yeah.
fact that King Shark is Stallone, I'm still, like, mind blown.
Yeah, I like if this is what James Gunn is gonna do with DC, then I'm hopeful.
Yeah, exactly.
He's at least gonna
I
make entertaining
I
movies.
yeah, I think he'll know, like, when to tone it back, like, honestly, like, he's making Superman Legacy, like, I don't think he's gonna make, like, a super, like, silly movie like this, you know?
I think he James Gunn understands what works with characters.
That's the thing, like, that's the thing. DC, from the beginning, needed somebody like James Gunn, who's a nerd, or, like, a Kevin Feige type, because Kevin Feige's a giant nerd too, to oversee it, and I think that that's what they did with James Gunn. This movie shows how much love James Gunn has for comic books. Like, this and Guardians show how much, like, of a nerd he is.
Mhm.
And it's just so fun too. Like, I love when they're Doesn't Peacemaker have like a competition with what's Idris Elba's character's name?
Oh, Bloodsport.
Yeah, Bloodsport. They have like a competition. I remember
Yep.
they're like in like they're in like a mercenary camp and they're going around like trying to
Shooting
kill
people.
people in different ways and all that. Yeah, it's wicked fun. Polka Dot Man, it's your mom. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
just shit like that was hilarious, dude.
Just
Like,
all the characters were so enjoyable. That's
yeah,
like it's just
even Starro, like Starro's awesome.
so many like of these movies, the characters were just such nothing. There's
Yeah,
just nothing there. And then with this like movies like this, it's like, oh man, you really care. Like I care about Rick Flag. We're in the original Suicide Squad. I didn't care about him and the
exactly,
Enchantress. I didn't
exactly,
care about any of that.
exactly. Wonders what a good writer and director can do, huh?
Mhm.
All right, now we're getting into the dark period again.
Oh god.
The hierarchy of DC is about to change. Black Adam is next. The only one released in 2022. I think we kind of have differing opinions on this.
Hate it. Hate it.
I feel similarly to how I feel about like Aquaman. Like it's a bad movie. It's stupid. It's silly, but I had fun with it. Even though like Black Adam's definitely a side character in his own movie.
Let me ask you this, Alex. If Pierce Brosnan wasn't in this, would you feel the same?
Probably not. No. But I did
I hated
I
this.
I did like the Justice Society of America stuff. Like I loved Doctor Fate, like I loved Hawkman.
I didn't
Uh
see, I didn't love Hawkman. I didn't love
yeah,
what's
like that stuff other than the discount Ant-Man guy. Uh
Atom Smasher.
yeah, I hated him. That was the only one I hated. Like that stuff was cool. I thought the action was helmed fairly well. I just think the bad guy was stupid because it's the guy who plays Jafar in Aladdin.
Oh yeah.
He was awful. And then like of course you have fucking The Rock over there being like, "Oh, you can't put Black Adam in a Shazam movie because I want my own movie." And he's been trying to get a freaking Black Adam movie made for years. I do have fun with it in like that type of way where it's like action's fun. I like some of the characters, just not Black Adam, which I probably should hate this movie since I don't like Black Adam in this movie, but I know you hate it.
Black Adam should never have been its own movie. He should have been what he is, which is a Shazam villain.
Yeah.
What my
The
biggest problem with
Rock's
this movie,
ego.
this is literally just a movie made because of Dwayne Johnson's ego.
Yeah.
And it's apparent on screen. Like
Yeah.
it was frustrating to watch Black Adam be portrayed as just another Dwayne Johnson character who who's like, I'm bad, but I'm actually good. But like I'm a bad guy. It's like, but you're not. Like you're not. You don't
Yeah.
seem that bad.
Yeah.
And like the fact that he didn't want any association with the Shazam movie, like he didn't
This
want to
kind of
be
tells
in
you
it.
everything.
Yeah, he didn't want Zachary Levi to be in this. He didn't like it. Just that type of stuff frustrated me a lot. Like even just like outside of the movie itself, it was
Well,
like the shadow looming over. Like you could
and
just feel, just like the Fast movies, feel like Vin Diesel's ego trip.
yeah.
That's what Black Adam was. It was just Dwayne Johnson going, "The hierarchy's about to change. I'm gonna fight Superman," and I'm like, I don't want to see you fight Superman. I want to see Black Adam fight Shazam in a Shazam movie. It's stupid. It's
Yeah.
like just you don't make a character become Dwayne
We'll
Johnson just
see.
because you're Dwayne
Well,
Johnson.
see, you have more of a well, I agree with that. You have more of a knowledge though of like the comics, so it's like going in. I had no clue who Black Adam
Black
was.
Adam's badass in the comics. He's like unstoppable, but he's also a character that has complexity and isn't like Dwayne Johnson. And he's also dark and scary and usually portrayed as an antagonist.
Yeah, see, I think that's maybe why we differ on it because you have more of the knowledge of the comics than I do. Because I haven't read a lick
And I
of.
just thought the whole movie felt cheap. The CGI looked bad, felt cheap.
I do remember the CGI looking bad, but I remember like some of the action being fun at least.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
didn't land with me at all.
yeah.
Didn't land.
Pierce Brosnan as Doctor Fate. All right, we're getting into the final four here. All these fucking movies, these last four came out in 2023.
Wow.
Yep. And we have to talk some Shazam again because that's the next one.
Ugh, what a downgrade. I
Yeah.
hated this movie.
Yeah, I'm like, I
Downgrade.
don't hate it, I don't love it.
It was bad, man. There was, like,
Yeah,
nothing going on.
yeah, I mean, they took all the wrong lessons from the first Shazam.
Yeah.
And, like, it was, like, trying to be, like, way too funny, like, the whole, like, Skittles thing, and then I don't fucking care about Rachel Zegler, like, being a goddess or something, like, I was like, Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren, that, like, yeah, then
I
they're
I
fine.
I didn't even like them as villains. I thought they
Like,
were lame.
yeah,
Like,
and well, that's the thing, I was like, they at least had the charm, but yeah, I agree, they were all 3 of them were lame. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, and then, like, I think what you were saying or alluding to before, I think it's really, like, more I thought about it, I agree. The fact that Zachary Levi acts like a massive man child in this movie, when you have Asher Angel over there acting like an actual mature adult who is trying to grow up a little bit, and Zachary
Yeah.
Levi just plays the character the same way he played it in the first one.
Oh, yeah, there was no consistency. It
No.
didn't feel like they were the same character.
Yeah.
So when he transformed, it didn't feel like that. It
Yeah.
felt like all of a sudden Deadpool, like a discount Deadpool shows up and starts trying to be funny. It's
Dollar
like,
store yeah. And then I think another thing too, kind of like what, like, your whole thing with Black Adam, like, just the background of this movie, like, the fact that Zachary Levi got so mad that it made no money, and he was like, "Go see my movie instead of John Wick because John Wick's not a family movie," like, just stuff like that, like, that just irritates me.
oh yeah, I think Zachary Levi throughout the press of this movie became a very unlikable
Yeah. Like,
celebrity in
he
some
just did
ways.
not handle it well, he became very unlikable.
But the movie itself, I mean, I think he's a big part to blame of why the movie doesn't work. I think his performance is so bad. Like,
It
just
is.
it wasn't if you're gonna do a movie like this, like the first one did successfully, you need to make Billy Batson and Shazam feel like one person.
Right.
He needs to be the kid is the body, is
Right.
inside the body. But instead, it just felt like he turned into this
Yeah,
goofball.
and then, like, yeah, and, like, he didn't know, like, that they were having, like, team meetings because the rest of, like, the adopted family becomes, like, members of the team too, and it's like,
Yeah.
he doesn't know, like, you have Mary over there doing her chemistry homework or something, and was like, he didn't know how to, like, adult them to, like, focus up and pay attention. I'm like, "Dude, like, this gag is getting old."
Yeah, Wonder Woman showing up for 3 seconds
Oh
at
my
the end. It's
dude,
terrible.
yeah.
Terrible.
They had an obsession with Wonder Woman making cameos in these next couple.
Yeah.
Um,
Did not like Fury of the Gods. I was very let down because I really liked Shazam.
I remember sitting in the theater thinking I was like, I didn't hate it, but I remember being severely let down too, because I was just like, "Oh, this," like, I liked the first Shazam, I was like, "This is probably gonna be great," and then I walked out, I was like, "That was only okay."
Mhm.
And the more I think about it, the more I don't like it. Alright, Pat, are you ready to talk about your least favorite DC Extended Universe movie ever?
Dude,
Do
it's
you hate The Flash more than BVS?
oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, no, I'm not even kidding. When The Flash is probably one of my least favorite super comic book movies of all time. I
Okay.
think it's terrible.
I think
It's
it
an awful movie.
I didn't think that way when I first saw it. I'll explain why. Um,
Awful. It's a mess.
I think
It's
it
an expensive, disgusting, ugly mess.
I think it's bad now upon rewatch because I rewatched this either last week or the week before when my mom had to stay for a snowstorm. She's like, "I want to watch The Flash. That's got Michael Keaton as Batman, right?" So we watched it. I
Dude,
now understand why everybody hates this movie because
it's bad.
yeah, because I remember walking out of it, I was like, it was okay. I was like, the second half is definitely better than the first half because the first half I thought was really, really, really boring. Like
I think
him,
the whole thing is garbage.
yeah,
Every little thing. I'm not even kidding, Alex.
yeah,
I can't name a positive. I
yeah.
can't name a single
Not even
positive.
Michael Keaton for you. Yeah,
No.
yeah,
Michael Keaton Batman wasn't even Michael Keaton Batman. It was some bullshit time travel explanation. And it's not even the Batman from the Michael Keaton Tim Burton movies.
yeah,
It's a completely different Batman who just happens to have the gear the car and the Danny Elfman theme. But
Yeah.
it feels so phony, and it's got stupid little. The trailer already pissed me off, but just the stupid. You want to get nuts? Come on,
Let's
let's get nuts. And I'm like, that's not cool because it doesn't make sense with what we're talking about.
yeah.
It that was a line in Batman '89 that made sense because Bruce was pretending to be unhinged.
Yeah.
Why would he say it randomly to Grant Gustin, two Ezra Millers? Like it was so stupid. And just Supergirl was nothing. And people on Twitter were hyping her up. There's nothing to her character.
I liked her as Supergirl, but I agree.
Why? What
There's
did she
I know.
do?
Well, I'm saying I like her as Supergirl. The character itself, no, I agree.
No, I can't even judge Sasha Cali or whatever because she was given nothing. She's a hollow Man of Steel, like Kal-El, essentially, who's all pissed off because Baby Clark is there.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Well,
It's like
yeah.
there's nothing in this movie that's good.
I okay.
Nothing.
Here's my thing. Like I was sitting in the theater. I remember, like, because I walked out of it just thinking it was okay. Um, and
I don't know how. I
and
was in the middle of
I
my
re-
first watch
well
with the
because
babies going, this is
oh,
atrocious.
I
This is
know, I know. I
awful.
hated the well, that was my thing because I was like the first half, I was just like, this is like super goofy. Like, I'm not vibing with Ezra Miller, as I don't think anybody should. Like, I'm not a big fan of him. Like I like the thing I
Yeah.
like about the Flash in this movie is that when he does eventually go back in time, like he grows up a little bit, but then he has to carry around his stupid past self, who's a giant man child, who's super annoying. So
Oh,
I
what do you mean? What do you mean? You don't like every scene where he's going, oh
no,
my
no,
God.
no.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
stupid.
Yeah, it was annoying.
Awful.
It was annoying because it doesn't mesh with like being him being the big brother trying to look after a little brother. It's just annoyances. So I wasn't vibing with any of that. It was when Keaton showed up and he like I'll admit like when he jumps out of the when he glides out of the the Batwing and you hear dun 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 dun, dun, like I literally screamed in the theater.
Cheap gimmick. Cheap.
I
You
know,
like imagine this, Alex. Imagine No Way Home if Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield showed up and they weren't even those fucking versions we
I
knew.
know.
If they were like, oh yeah, there was some weird spaghetti time travel, and now I look like this because I was born 20 years earlier. It's
Yeah,
like, no, that wasn't even the. And they tried like, oh, here's Joker's laugh back from 1989. I'm like, but that doesn't even make sense. That isn't even that Batcave or that mansion or that anything. Like it doesn't. It's not him. It's a cheap fucking gimmick.
yeah.
Like it's not even him.
Because honestly, that's the reason I went to go see the Flash. I was like, I don't care about the Flash. I just want to see Keaton
Yes,
Batman.
this is why I'm so pissed, man. Because I thought at the very least I'd like Michael Keaton Batman, but it's not even Michael Keaton Batman, and
Yeah,
he's doing a bunch of stupid things that doesn't even look like what Michael Keaton Batman would do. This Batman's an incredible CGI fighter, and he's doing all these cool shit. I'm like, no, Michael Keaton Batman can barely turn. He can
okay.
barely turn.
Well,
Why is he? It's terrible.
well, okay. Here's the thing that pissed me off.
Cheap.
Here's the thing that pissed me off the most about Batman, though, because I was actually somebody who was like enjoying Michael Keaton when he was on screen. The thing that pissed me off though about Batman in this movie is it was just like oh he kamikazes himself so he dies so the Flash has to go back in time, but it's just like no like this is like Michael Keaton Batman inevitably dies. Like it's like a matter like even if it's not from the same universe, I'm like I'm vibing with Michael Keaton Batman, even if it's not from the same universe. I'm like, but I don't want Michael Keaton Batman, whether it's from the same universe or not, to die. Like let him live. Like he's
I didn't.
literally the best part of this movie.
The amount I did not give a shit when Michael Keaton was dying because I didn't care about anything by
Yeah,
that point
and
because
then yeah,
I had
but
just
dude,
been
and
sitting
then
through
yeah,
15 minutes of CGI desert background, terrible action scenes
dude,
with
that's
terrible
the thing. This
CGI.
movie is ugly.
It's
Like
ugly as the
yeah,
super speed is awful.
it's
The baby's
ugly.
falling, the
Yeah,
fucking speed force, where that weird ugly CGI dome he always gets put in with all the weird CGI people. I'm like, what are we doing? A shirtless Henry Cavill. I'm like, what are we actually doing? This is terrible. And
yeah.
as a big fan of The Flash, I grew up with Wally West being my Flash. I love the Flash. The show great for the first season. Kind of went off the rails really badly after that. This movie was an insult because it barely even it was a shame to be a Flash movie. It didn't use anything from the Flash besides Flashpoint, which is the only thing Warner Brothers seems to know about Flash. And they didn't even do Flashpoint. All the interesting thing of Flashpoint was gone. Thomas Wayne being Batman, not there. Aquaman and Wonder Woman being at war, not there. Like they took Flashpoint's bare minimum thing because that's all Warner Brothers knows. All Warner Brothers knows about Barry Allen is he goes back in time to save his mom and messes up the time stream. And it's like, okay, yeah, but the time travel in this movie is the dumbest time travel I've ever heard. It makes no sense. They go, okay, Barry took the tomatoes and put them in his mom's grocery cart. So somehow, that made Bruce Wayne be born 20 years earlier. And also, Aquaman's never born. And Kal-El dies as a baby. I'm
Oh,
like, how
that's stupid.
how would the Nora Allen, was that her name, Nora? I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, Nora, yeah.
How would Nora Allen not dying because tomatoes got put in her grocery cart affect the time stream so badly backwards? Backwards. It would change what happened before that somehow, which makes literally no sense. It
And
would
then
it would change it so Bruce Wayne is born early and becomes Michael Keaton. And I'm like, that makes no sense. I don't care how much fucking Michael Keaton pours spaghetti in my face going, this is time travel. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I was sitting there like, this literally, how does that make any sense? If you go back in time to change something, it should be whatever happens from that point forward. That's how 99% of time travel
yeah,
stories work
yeah,
because it makes a little sense in time travel ways.
yeah.
But how would changing something to yesterday affect something back in fucking 1655? It does not make any sense, but that's what this movie's saying. Which, why doesn't Barry do something else then? Why doesn't he change something today? Because apparently, if I do this, Bruce Wayne could be born 20 years early.
And he could turn out to be George Clooney.
It's so dumb. I was sitting there, I'm like, this movie is not trying to convince me that this is their time travel. Like they are not trying to. And then literally the whole end part of the movie is like the obvious fucking twist that everyone could see coming. The other Ezra Miller, who's like, oh, I'm super speed, man. Like
Yeah,
that Ezra
and he
Miller,
becomes like a Dark Flash.
he becomes Dark Flash. He's got like shit sticking out of him. He's just, I have to keep trying. I gotta keep going. And I'm like, this is so
You're telling
dumb.
me you didn't like the brief moment of Nicolas Cage as Superman?
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm
it's
kidding.
just a CGI Nicolas Cage
Dude,
going,
that was
whoa,
literally the worst, like one of the worst things I've ever seen. That whole
insulting,
yeah,
insulting.
the fact,
People. Here's the difference. People go off after Ghostbusters Afterlife, right? For Egon Spengler.
but at
Here's
least
the
made me feel something.
here's the difference. Egon Spengler, throughout the entirety of Afterlife, the movie is about him. It is
Yeah,
about the memory of him. It is about how people remember him. It is about what, and it's a Ghostbusters movie. You expect a ghost. You
yeah,
expect some sort of afterlife thing. It worked because there was an emotional focus and through line on him. So when you do see the CGI version of him, which by the way looked a hell of a lot fucking
it did.
better
It
than,
did.
and they didn't have him speak, they didn't have him, and it felt earned. It felt right, and it felt emotional because the whole movie had been building to it. Throwing in fucking dead people for cameos.
Yeah, that's
Christopher Reeve,
yeah,
Christopher Reeve, George Reeve, and then other people like Nicolas Cage, Helen Slater, people who are still alive, but going, oh look, here's these cameos. I'm
yeah.
like, I was so insulted.
I
Okay,
was too.
and here's my big shit, right? I told you this movie did not care about Flash at all. It's called The Flash. It does not care about the Flash. There's more Superman in this movie and more Batman than anything that has anything to do with the Flash. Where are his villains? Where are his other characters?
Yeah,
Where is, it's a shame to be a Flash. It's
because
just
they
using
bring
Flash.
Zod back.
It's using Flash as a plot device. Yeah, he fights Zod. The biggest offender, the biggest thing that pisses me off they do the whole mom died thing, which is, from the past, like, 15 years of comics. The answer to that question of the which this movie doesn't even really pose. It doesn't go, "Wait, so if the dad's innocent, who killed the mom?" The movie never asks that. They
Yeah,
never touch on that. They don't go, "Wait, so what happened to her then if the dad was at the grocery store?
yeah,
Who killed the mom?" The movie never touches on that, not remotely. It doesn't go, "Who killed Nora Allen?" There's not even a fucking yellow blur in the room. There's nothing. It's supposed to be Reverse Flash. Reverse Flash goes back in time and kills Nora Allen.
yeah.
Movie never touches on that remotely. It doesn't even address the question. Well, what happened to her then? Nothing. So as far as the movie is telling you, there's still a good chance the dad killed the mom because there is no
Even though he's
alternative.
innocent.
So stupid. Dude, it was so stupid. I was sitting there like, you don't even, you have the whole heart of the movie being saving the mom,
Yeah,
and they don't even address what actually happened to the mom.
that's true. That is true.
Nothing.
I never
Like,
even thought of that.
they don't even do Barry going, "Oh, well, I'll go back in time and see who killed my mom." No, nothing. He's gonna go to the grocery store and put a can of tomatoes in her grocery cart. I'm like, this movie was fucking atrocious. I was sitting there, I was like, I can't believe this is real. And when you look at how much money it costs,
Yeah, it's crazy.
they should have left this movie on the shelf.
But do
And
you know
I don't say that lightly. I think Warner Brothers doing that to their movies is wrong. I
yeah,
think every movie should be released,
yeah.
except for The Flash. This was an abomination that
But
should have stayed buried, and I should never have had to see.
which is crazy because you know what the percentage on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics is?
Oh yeah, the critics fucking loved it, right?
63%.
Yeah, that's
And
ridiculous. I
then
remember people coming out of Cinemania Con or whatever being like, "This is the greatest movie ever," and I'm like, "Greatest
and then
superhero movie in 20 years."
with 198,198 votes on IMDb from users,
Yeah,
6.7.
that is ridiculous.
It's literally one of the highest rated DC extended universe movies on
I
that.
don't know why. I don't know why. It is terrible. I literally
I
struggle
yeah,
to say any positives.
I I have been on the train because like I said, enjoyed like chunks of it. So I was like split right down the middle when I walked out of the theater. The more I sat on it, I disliked it. And then this last rewatch with my mom when she wanted to watch it proved to me that I didn't like it. So it went further down my list.
Yeah.
I don't really like this. And I felt that way with Shazam. I felt that way with Aquaman 2. I didn't feel that way so much though with Blue Beetle.
Yeah, I hated Flash, man.
I don't blame you.
Like,
'Cause I'm starting to get on that train too because I like
I was
there was
sick.
just more on rewatch for me that I picked up on that I disliked more than when I first saw it.
And the humor was so bad.
It's bad. Yeah,
I
it's
remember
horrible.
saying to Casey as we were watching, I said, "It feels like the director is in on a joke that nobody else is in on."
And
Like,
Andy
he thinks
Muschietti's
something's
supposed to be
hilarious. It's not.
yeah, and Andy Muschietti's supposed to be directing Brave and Bold.
I don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want
And the only
anyone doing
and you
anything to
know
do with.
the only reason he's directing it is because well, you did a good job with Keaton Batman in this movie.
No,
Yeah.
no.
That's the
And
only reason. You get
literally, this movie was, like, driving me nuts and was terrible, and then just to kick me in the nuts a little further, they went, "Here's George Clooney, isn't that funny?" And I went, "No. Why?
yeah.
Why would you do this?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense."
Yeah. Exactly.
Terrible. It was
Yeah.
awful. I fucking hate this movie, straight up. Batman v Superman looks like a masterpiece because at least Batman v Superman had a consistent, like, as much as I didn't like it, had at least it felt like there was something, like, driving the movie, where
They were
this
it
was
felt like they were at least
this.
trying, right?
Yeah, this was just awful.
Yeah.
Bunch of money wasted on nothing. All that money could have been spent way better somewhere else.
Yeah. Should have canceled this for a tax write-off, right?
Frankly, this is the only movie I would ever want that to happen to, because this was a disgrace. But yeah, I hate The Flash.
I mean, I'm gravitating towards, like, disliking it, espe like, it's just one of those movies for me that when you sit and think about it, it's not good.
It's just awful. I don't have any other words. I feel
Yeah.
like even some of the worst comic book movies had more of like a core to them. Like there was more going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Next on the list, we only got 2 more left, and then we can just stop talking about this universe forever.
Yeah,
Uh,
great.
the next one on the list is Blue Beetle. I didn't even know that you saw Blue Beetle until I asked you and you told me.
Yeah, it's okay. I
Yeah.
thought it was fun.
It's a fun, like it has, like, I don't know, for me, it had, like, a '90s, early 2000s vibe to it. Like, I
Oh,
feel
for sure.
it came out in, like, 2002.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could see.
I like the smaller scale of it, like, I liked the kid that played, Jaime Reyes.
Yeah,
Uh,
Zolo.
yeah,
He's
Su
great in Cobra Kai.
oh, is he?
Miguel.
Susan Sarandon, I thought was awful as the villain in this. What was her name in the I know she was a Cord, but I don't know.
Yeah, this movie is one of those that I enjoyed watching, but then just like,
Don't even remember.
yeah, it's like it was fine, but it wasn't anything special. I didn't think.
No, no, I think if you ask anybody, they're gonna say it's nothing special anyways. I think at this point, people just wanted, like, a light, breezy, like, fun superhero movie, and that's exactly what this was. That's what I was expecting going in, and that's exactly what I got. So, that's my way of saying I like this movie, and it delivered exactly what I wanted. There's really not much else to say about it, honestly.
No, no, it's like I think he looked great. I think the Blue
Yeah.
Beetle suit was
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, what is Blue Beetle, like a C-listed DC hero?
I mean, yeah, and the Jaime Reyes version of him,
Yeah,
um, is I mean, in the grand scheme, relatively new,
yeah,
like early 2000s,
yeah.
mid.
Um, I mean, I cared enough, you know? I remember caring enough. I thought George Lopez was hilarious in this.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, the family dynamic I thought was pretty good.
yeah.
The grandma was awesome.
Yeah, yeah, the whole family, I mean, that's kinda like Shazam, it was like they made you care about the
Yeah.
dynamics.
Yeah, I was just like I remember just sitting in the theater, I was like, "I'm not gonna, like, write home about this, but this is fun." Like, I'm legitimately having a good time, you know?
It's,
Yeah. Yeah, which is what I wanted, so
yep.
I don't have anything else to say about it.
No, I don't have much to say about it either,
No, and
unfortunately.
then finally, we get to Aquaman 2, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This is a movie, like,
It was a movie.
immediately right after it, I was like, "I think I liked it less than what I just saw 5 minutes ago."
Yeah,
It's just Momoa being Momoa.
I wanted it to be the same level of just, like, stupid fun as the first one.
Yeah,
The problem is I didn't have much fun with this.
I didn't either.
It was very kinda just blah, it felt kinda hollow and, like,
Well,
not that much effort was put
felt like
in.
to me, it felt like they were just doing the same thing, but, like, with, like, less, like, fun.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
it's
go
very
back to the
similar.
kingdom of the
Yeah,
deserters."
how many times are we gonna go to the desert in an Aquaman movie? I don't understand.
Yeah, like, the Orm and Aquaman stuff is legitimately great, I think.
Yeah, I liked Orm, he was probably the best part of the movie. He got the one laugh of the movie out of me, which I only laughed once the whole movie, which was just the because he spent his whole life in the ocean, where him and Aquaman are running, and he's like, "What are you doing?" "I'm running." He didn't know how to run. Like,
Well,
that
I
was
just thought
funny.
it was so weird because it was, after he shows up, he's got the long hair, he's got the beard, and then, like, the next scene, I'm like, "How the fuck did you shave?"
I don't know, it's in between.
Yeah.
He had a swordfish come up and just shave. Um, I did like the moment when he was all skinny and frail from being in prison, and then he went under the waves, and then he got all muscular, that was sick. That
Yeah,
was
that was cool, yeah.
yeah, everything with Orm was pretty good except for that weird after credit scene that was, like, hilariously the end of the DCEU.
I know. I remember in my review for it, I was like, if this is how the DCEU goes out, like, I'm like, there's no better fitting way for it to go out than on, like, a wildly inconsistent movie for a wildly inconsistent cinematic universe.
Yep.
That's like how
Um,
I like Mira had a lot more to do in this movie. Mira to me was in this movie was handled the same way that I felt like Hope was handled in Quantumania. Like she just shows up to save the day. I'm like, you
Yeah,
feel like a better character. Like when Hope shows up in Quantumania and she kicks Kang into
the machine.
yeah, the machine. I was like, why was that Hope? Why did that have to be Hope?
Should have been Janet.
That should have been Janet. Janet had more of a history with Kang. She knew how Kang operated. It would have been more impactful if that was Janet. And I said the same thing with this movie. I kept saying, why was that Mirror? Why was why wasn't that somebody else that knew Aquaman? Why like it would have been more impactful if it wasn't just oh Mira pops up because oh we got it's so obvious that it's like I don't know if you heard about the background of this whole thing but like Elon Musk sending threats to the yeah, producers of this movie if what's her name's not in it.
Yeah.
So it's clearly obvious they're trying to give her something to do with a reduced role.
I
So like,
mean, I just didn't like how they couldn't really commit one way or the other. It was like either have Mira in the movie actually,
yeah, or don't.
or don't. Like they just kept they kept sending her away to like
Yeah,
different things, and then she'd
yeah,
show up, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, but like the first one, it was very much her and Arthur, and it's fine if you don't want to focus on that in this one, but um she was in it more than I expected, honestly, because
that's what I thought. Like,
Amber Heard made it sound like in her trial that like she got really reduced role, like to like nothing, and it was like you were still in it, but yeah, I didn't like that she just kept coming in and out of the movie. I was like,
yeah,
either have her or don't. And I
like
get focusing on the brothers, but it
yeah,
just
and then
felt weird.
yeah, and then like you just have Jason Momoa doing a lot of Momoa isms.
I didn't like him in this. He was
Yeah,
too Jason Momoa.
yeah,
It didn't feel
too
like
like
Arthur.
flamboyant. Yeah,
Like, there was literally that scene where he's like it felt like a Jason Momoa commercial where he's just on a motorcycle doing donuts, and I'm like, that
dude.
is that a thing Arthur Curry does?
Well, like, and I kind of knew that this movie was doomed from the beginning, anyways, because it opens up like kind of coolish. I'm like, okay, this is, and then immediately, oh, to be wild.
Oh, yeah, they
I'm like,
kept
huh?
playing the hell out of that
I was
song.
like, huh?
Yeah,
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 so I
I
was just like,
wasn't vibing.
I was like, okay, this is weird.
Black
But
Manta looked great. Black Manta's suit was
Black
amazing.
Manta looked great. He should have only been in this movie, or he
He
should
was
have been the
I didn't
villain.
even I didn't like him in this because he was possessed most of the time.
Well, yeah, that's the
He
thing.
didn't even have, like, his own he just still was mad at Aquaman about his dad, but besides that, it was like
Yeah, and then this movie tries to say something about like global warming too.
yeah, it does, yeah.
And I'm like, and like climate change. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I get Aquaman like lives in water, like you can do that, but like, I don't think I would have done that on your final movie though. Like, yeah, there was one kingdom that I thought I actually like because I was like, because this is something different. It was that one that was like all black. It had like the black
Mordor?
yeah, it looked like Mordor. Yeah. I was like, "Okay, that's something different for an Aquaman movie."
That's the one positive of this movie for me, like, one of the positives was I was literally like, they cast Pilu Asbeck as, like, the bad guy, but, like, he only has, like, 5 seconds where you see his face, and I'm like so they cast Euron Greyjoy to essentially play a sea king who's evil and hates his brother. So like so they cast Euron Greyjoy to play the more book accurate Euron because he uses sorcery. Like,
That's the thing
okay, cool.
yeah,
At
and that's the
least you
thing
got to play book Euron.
and that's the thing for me. I was like, even like the action scenes, I'm like, there's not enough to differentiate this one for me from the first one. Like, it just felt like the exact it felt like what Quantum of Solace feels like the Casino Royale, like just a DLC
More.
or an
Yeah.
expansion pack or an extended cut, you know?
Yeah, more but worse.
Yeah.
Um I the one great scene that made me go, the whole movie should have been like this,
What's that?
was when they used all the whales to sing to the submarine and blow it up. I was like, that's what the whole movie should have been. Just
That's the
whales
stupidity we need.
murdering people.
Yeah. That's the stupidity. No octopi? Is that plural?
Oh, Topo the octopus.
Yeah. No playing drums, you know? I did like the crab guy that got his claw cut off.
Oh yeah, the Brine King is the best character in these movies. He's voiced by John Rhys Davies, and he's just
Is he?
Gimli as
Is he?
a crab.
That's wait, that was John Rhys Davies?
Yeah, in the first one
Oh, I
too.
love him even more now.
Yeah, in the first one, he was the best part. He was just, "You soft-bellied slug." But, like, yeah, when they brought him back, I'm like, "Hell yeah, the best character."
Yeah. Yeah, Aquaman 2 for me is just like it's one of those movies where it's like it's the same exact thing and then just has so many like what I call the Spider-Man 3 what the fuck moments.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Where I'm
It
just
was
like,
yeah, it wasn't great.
no,
Wasn't great.
no, no. Yeah,
Wasn't even good.
the more I sat on it, the more that I didn't like it. It's I literally watched the same movie as the first.
Yeah.
And it's 20 minutes shorter and it's still like 6 movies in one.
It did feel long.
It did. It
Oh,
did. Yeah.
mhm.
It's I don't know what's with these why are they like overstuffing these Aquaman movies? Yeah. But that marks the end of our retrospective of this wildly inconsistent cinematic universe that is now being rebooted. Uh Probably about time, you know. So overall thoughts on the DC extended universe, Pat. We kind of already got my thoughts, so I kind of want to
A
hear your
lot of missed potential,
yes.
a lot of missed opportunities, some great things sprinkled in throughout, some good things, some awful things. Some mostly, I hope that it is a mistake that is learned from,
Yeah.
and that these characters in this universe that I love so much will be treated with more reverence, respect, and just made into translated into film in a much more successful way than
Yeah.
the DCU did.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I'm glad it's kind of over. I think a fresh start is what's needed
Yeah.
at this point. Um, yeah, I don't know.
But
I'm kind of glad.
is it really a fresh start though if Peacemaker's still part of the DCU and we're keeping Viola Davis?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm
At
just
this
glad I never have to watch The Flash.
I'll make you. We'll do like a 3-day marathon of these movies, and I'll make you watch The Flash. I'm just kidding. No, I won't. I won't torture you.
Good.
Yeah. Pat, where can they find you?
You can find me on YouTube. My channel's Agamotto. I talk a lot about anime and going to be talking about some Ghostbusters soon with the new movie coming out.
Nice.
Um, and then also on Twitter at this Pat guy. I like to argue with people about movies on there. So come fight me.
I do too. It's
Come
a
fight
fun
me.
place. It's a fun place to argue with people, right? You can find me in my official website, alexmaddenmovies.mystrikingly.com. All my social media links are there. I'll also leave my link tree in the description if that's easier. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex. That's Pat, my cohort, as always. We'll see you at the movies somewhere.